I made a video yesterday on solitude where I went to the countryside and I sat inside my car because it was raining and it was becoming colder for me. So I sat inside the car and I filmed this video on solitude, and it was all of this peace, the serenity, if that's even a word, inside this car along with me, and I made the video. And the whole trip that I made yesterday, when I came back home, I realized something pretty profound. And I don't really talk about profound stuff often. That's why I'm becoming vulnerable to speak it in front of a camera, in front of all of you guys. This is not really what I used to do, but it's good to try things. But what I noticed was that although I went to the countryside for fun, and although it was a family reunion trip. It was a trip where we went there to sort of make it a picnic trip and sort of really enjoy ourselves all the time that we had with the rain, because it doesn't rain here often. And it's usually sunny and hot where I live. So raining, and along with this peace, quiet, and silence that we got from that environment, it was all meant to be leisure activities. But what I found was that if fun alone isn't anything, it doesn't mean anything at all to me now. I could embark myself in a journey where I could have a lot of fun, but it doesn't fulfill me anymore. It's like when I play video games, and I used to have a lot of fun while playing video games, but now it just feels meaningless. All the time, I could spend 3 hours playing a video game, but there's no fulfillment in that. And that's what I find when I hang around with people. When I try to hang around with my 2 friends once in 3 months, I don't get any joy from it. And I found that instead, my definition of fun, it's now tied to work. Now anything I do, if there's an element of work involved in it, only then I find this meaningful and contentment and fulfillment. Otherwise, anything I could do, it just seems very meaningless and pointless. I remember last year, around the same time as now, I went to a 10-day trip that changed my life. I'll make a separate video on it, how going to the northern areas where there were mountains, where there were greenery, where there was nature, where there were cows and all this thing, basically nature, was present there. And it changed my life because it changed the way I operated. It changed my worldview. And I'll make a separate video on how it really changed my life. But I didn't find any joy in it. We went there, all my cousins, not all of them, but few of my cousins, I went with them. And when I went there, I noticed one thing. Let me close the windows first. So I went there, and it was all meant to be a 10-day trip of fun, right? We were having all these locations. We were going alongside the lake. We were doing all sorts of stuff, riding jet skis and whatnot. All of it was meant to be fun. But did I have the fun that I once imagined I would have? Not really. Am I being ungrateful? Also not really. The thing is, now, and even back then, all I can think of was how can I attach myself with work? How can I work with the view of the mountain, with the view of that flowing, beautiful, serene atmosphere with the lake, with all these cows, with the view of the mountain. Right now, work is what is fulfilling. And yesterday I went there and I filmed a video. And even if it was as little as filming a 17-minute video, I found that the whole trip became meaningful to me. And I know it might sound weird, but I really want people to relate to me, because I feel weird thinking of how I operate now, because I should be having fun, right? I'm 22 and all this is meant to be fun, and all this is meant to give me joy. But I'm acting like this 80-year-old guy who thinks nothing is meaningful unless it is work related, right? But I find it good because I've picked a lane. I know my goals and where I'm headed. And with the identity I want to become of this multimillionaire, of somebody whose net worth exceeds $100 million, I have found that this is the only way. And I have to live with the fact that this is just me now. And back then, when I was a child, I used to play PS2, I used to play a lot of games, and I found meaning and contentment and fulfillment when I hung around with people. I used to hang around all the time, every week. I used to hang around with my cousins, I also had a lot of friends back then. And I also, when I was alone, I was playing all these video games. And I enjoyed it so much that was all that I had left. Or that was all that I found to be meaningful and fulfilling. But now, with the way I'm operating, everything, it just needs a bit of work. Even if I'm going somewhere, I want to work at that place. And even today, I had my cousins who came over. We had a full day where we talked, where we hung around, right? But now they've left. It's only been 15 minutes that they've left, and I'm making this video. And because I cannot just live and I cannot just sleep knowing that I haven't put any effort in work. And making videos is part of work. It's part of the identity I want to become. It's one of those building blocks, one of those habits, the daily practices, which will lead me to my desired identity. The identity which I hold really close to me and which I want to become. And I am right here, and this identity is right here. So there's a gap, and this gap is filled with these daily practices. And I've made a video on identity shift, explaining all these things in detail on my whiteboard, my digital whiteboard. So it'll drive the point home even further, but I have to do this. And if you're also believing, if you're also thinking that, and it just got darker because the battery of the lamp, it just decreases every single minute. So if you're thinking of neglecting work, if you're thinking of not working, and if you think that fun is something that you should chase, you shouldn't chase it. There's way better things to chase. And one of those things is fulfillment and contentment. And you can only get those things. You can only be fulfilled. You can only find meaning. You can only find the real joy in work. And I know it's not for everybody. It's really depends on what your goals are in life. So based upon all of your goals, if you're not doing the stuff if you're not incorporating that stuff, even when you're in a holiday, even when you're enjoying other things, you need to put in the reps. Now, do I want to do it? Not really. It gets hard because you want to relax sometimes, right? But do we have to keep going? It's all about putting the reps. It's all maths. You just have to do the thing. You just have to show up with the incredible quality as well. Put in the quantity along with putting effort and putting quality as well. That is the recipe, or I would say one of the recipe to succeed in life. Nothing